Hello, welcome back to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast for another collector's item special with me, Dave Molyneux. In these episodes, we invite a guest to delve into their comic collection and share some of their favourite items. This time around, I have the colossal pleasure of introducing our guest. He's an artist best known for his work on 2000 AD's Sinister Dexter and Judge Dredd, Halo for Dark Horse Comics, Noble Causes for Image Comics, and a whole host of incredibly familiar characters for Marvel UK and Panini titles. Joining us in the Omniverse today, it is Mr. Ian Richardson. Hello, Ian. How you doing?
Hello, Dave. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. We met, didn't we, at the Bristol Comic Con?
We did.
Was that a month ago? Is a month gone?
Must be. I know. Don't. I measure days in pages, so unfortunately, it's kind of like, what's the date?
What's your speed like then? How many pages do you tend to do a day?
I'm not very good. But don't tell editors and publish it.
We'll keep it quiet. Make up a number. It's fine.
Honestly, depends what I'm doing. So if I'm just penciling stuff, then I kind of have to get it done in sort of a day to a day and a half to a page. But at the moment, I think I'm right in saying everything I'm doing, which is 3 different books, so I'm penciling and inking it at the moment. So it's a little bit longer.
What books are you working on?
So I have I'm just finishing a story for a Dutch anthology called Figments. So it's a Western vampire story. I'm just about to start. Well, I've done a couple of pages and a cover, and then just about to get into the rest of doing a story called First Men on Mars, which that Kickstarter is about to launch later this month. So that's kind of steampunk sci-fi stuff. And then I'm also drawing another Western, but like a horror Western, with writer Tony Lee, and that's literally just starting at the moment.
Right. So. What's that one called?
Six Gun Sinner.
Six Gun Sinner. Cool. You sound excited about it.
Well, yeah, I know. Look, it's horror stuff. I've somehow managed to find myself doing 2 Westerns at the same time. So I'm not quite sure how that happened.
That must come in handy for photo reference because you're all set up, really, aren't you?
Well, yeah, and I always kind of said I'd think twice about doing Westerns and stuff before after doing like initial stuff on Cowboys and Aliens years and years ago and discovering I hated drawing cowboy hats and horses.
Horses, man, they're so hard.
I know, but it's even worse. People riding horses.
Oh,
so getting that right, so it doesn't look like they're riding a pony or a shy horse. So it's finding the middle ground. But who knows? Maybe doing that Cowboys and Aliens stuff stood me in good stead.
Maybe it did.
I seem to be enjoying it somewhat at the moment.
Well, that's got to be good.
Yeah.
Well,
touch wood.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. It'll hopefully get some stuff announced soon, and the Figment story for the Dutch anthology is actually just about to go to print. That's a bit of a full circle thing itself because Jay Faber's written that.
Who
I did
Noble Causes.
Noble Causes. Mm-hmm. Bless his cotton socks. He's written 1 or 2 things.
He has a bit, hasn't he? Wow. Because when was it you were working on Noble Causes?
Just
is that early 2000s? I think.
Yeah, probably about 2002, something like that, for a couple of years.
I think it's about the same time as Invincible was initially starting, wasn't it?
Yes, funnily enough, it was exactly that time.
Right.
Depending on who you ask and which website you kind of look at, in some circles, I drew the first appearance of Invincible.
Really? There's a claim to fame.
I know. Well, so issue 3 of the first miniseries of Noble Causes I did. The basic story behind it is the daughter from the family finds herself pregnant, but won't tell anybody who it is.
Right.
So her big brother goes round, and I should caveat this, that Image had decided they wanted to try and do a cohesive Image superhero universe. So this is post the initial guys doing Spawn and Wildcats and Wetworks and so on and so forth. And this is at the time that you've got Savage Dragon and Tech Jacket and Super Patriot and things like that. So we did this double page spread where the older noble brother goes around threatening all the superheroes and the Image we're using at the time, basically going, "Did you get my sister pregnant?" And the first panel is Rusty Noble threatening Invincible. So that was, it was actually out, I think, a month before Invincible number one.
No way.
But at the same time, maybe about a week before, there were some sort of in-issue story adverts for Invincible.
Okay, that don't count.
So kind of, yeah. So there's those, but the first in-story one was that kind of just that one panel thing with
no way
Rusty Noble having Invincible up against the wall.
I'll have to check that out because I did. Side note, I did basically worked out an definitive Invincible reading order.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've got that one panel or not.
It's Noble Causes Family Secrets issue 3, I think it is.
Right. I'm going to have to double check that I've definitely got that one in there.
Yeah, well, go and track it down because I don't think I've got, sadly, I don't think I've got any issues myself left. Last time I looked on eBay, as you do these things, I think people were asking about 60, 70 quid for
Whoa, okay.
So, yeah.
Sorry,
but it's in, there's a trade of it.
Yes.
Anyway, so.
Yeah, I think there's quite a chunky one around. I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of comics, that's what we're here for, right? So the Collector's Item Special episodes, what we tend to do is we give people, like our special guests, some topics to choose from, and they share some key items from their collection. Clearly, Noble Causes isn't going to be in there for you. you parted ways with it.
Not this week. not this week.
Maybe next time. So we're gonna kick off with your first one.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw the requests at you at random. So I thought we'd start with your favourite cover. Yes.
Which I just happen to have at hand. Ooh. See, now I was going to pick one of two that I had, but I thought I would pick one that I actually own.
Okay. Oh, so that's Avengers 16. Is it 69?
71.
71.
71.
So close.
So it's I'm going to get this right.
There you go. You're in.
Sal Buscema cover. But it's the first Invaders as well.
That's right.
And I'm an Avengers nut.
Are you?
Yeah,
are they like your absolute favourite team?
Yes. Yeah. So far, so I'm kind of like, it was either this or Avengers 57.
The Vision.
Which is First Vision.
Yeah.
But I don't own Avengers 57.
Have you been trying? Yet.
Oh, well,
the key word.
Let's put it this way. I could get it, but it's like an average copy is a 350 quid book at the moment.
I wasn't sure what it might be going for.
Well, I'm down to my kind of last 13 issues out the whole of volume 1.
Really?
And there's only one issue that is kind of sub 200 quid now.
Damn it.
I know.
That is harsh, man. Because it was someone was it actually maybe was it when we were talking? It was about the later issues have suddenly shot up in price as well, like the Onslaught ones.
Yeah, and stuff like I think it's 256 and stuff. There's so many issues of Avengers now which are first appearance and stuff.
Was that
like
was 256 Nebula?
Yeah. So there's stuff like that going on in later issues, and there's all Hank Pym stuff going on in the kind of middle of the run and whatever. But this stuff, both Buscema brothers, probably John Buscema more than anything else, is, yeah, it's my hot beverage of choice.
Was it what was your first comic that you bought then when you were getting into the whole medium?
Well, I blame my mother fairly and squarely, because as a small kid, I always used to get bought sort of Beano and Dandy and stuff like that. And then there was Mighty World of Marvel, the UK black and white reprints.
Yeah.
Just turned up from shopping one day going, I thought you'd like this.
What was on the front?
And it's just like, it's a montage thing with like Hulk in the middle. But it's I should rephrase the black and white reprints. They were black and white and green.
Wow.
It was just like a single tone of green across colours.
Really?
People might say I'm getting it wrong and stuff now, but there are definite issues like that. And then you would get a few full colour pages in, and then later, as it went through the years and stuff, it would just stay completely black and white.
God, I remember seeing a few of those about when I go to car boot sales as a kid, because I started getting reprints from Marvel in about 1985-ish in terms of Marvel Universe stuff. Because that's what we had. That was all we had, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was that, and when I'd go on summer holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
You go to Wales or Western-super-Mare or whatever. Look, I'm from Birmingham, so everybody goes to Western-super-Mare. And you would just get the seafront stores.
Yeah.
Would have like a bulk buy of random back issues on a spinner rack. And so that would be the only time I'd actually get actual American colour comics then. Those and issues of Commando.
Right. God, Commando, I remember that. I used to see it in barbershops all the time. You know, when you go into barbershops, there'd be like magazines and comics.
They're still putting out new issues.
Is Garth Ennis working on that? I thought Garth Ennis was working on
it. Garth has been doing some stuff, and I know Patrick Goddard's been doing some stuff for him. And there's some tie-in stuff with Battle going on as well.
Right.
But like he's explaining, I met a Marvel writer in London last year, Torun Grunberg. Like, she's like obsessed by this kind of World War II stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so she's been doing some stuff with Paddy Goddard for that as well. Like, whilst she's writing Thor for Marvel as well at the same time.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite a combination.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's funny. Do you sorry, just to veer off. I was wondering if you actually remembered, on the subject of you finding those seafront back issue comics, do you remember your first one or the earliest one that caught your...
It would probably be a Legion of Superheroes thing.
Yeah?
I always remembered there'd be more DC stuff around than Marvel.
Oh.
I don't know why. I think it would just be the job lots of back issues that would somehow make it over here.
Yeah, I think they used to come over as ballast or something, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because when I used to work in a comic shop in Southampton years and years and years ago, some old Jack Kirby Thors showed up. They weren't in the best state.
No.
But they were in the what do you call it? I was talking to someone else about this recently. Damn it, because I can't remember what it's called. It's the gap between the walls. You know, the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where they found them. They were like, "Oh, we're not through this wall."
Really?
And they were a load of comics. Are they worth anything? And the guy that owned the shop, he was a dodgy character, and he just went, "I don't think so. I'll get rid of them for you." It was a load of Kirby era Marvel stuff.
Nobody was bagging and boarding things then, weren't they? So.
No. So yeah, that's the thing. You'd buy them in bulk, Brian, and then you take them home and just thumb through them until the covers fell off. Right?
Yeah, I don't think we stop and think about it then.
No.
About how much stuff never actually made it over here until you start as we are now, and collecting and going back and buying back issues and stuff, and you can't find certain issues.
Yeah.
Because they never made it over here.
Damn it.
And it drives me nuts.
Are they the Mystic 13 that you're trying to fill in the gaps? Whatever. Was it 13?
Yeah, it's 13. Unfortunately, not. The Mystic 13 are all expensive books and stuff, unfortunately.
Well,
things like Avengers #4. Oh, God.
I noticed this. Oh, God, good luck.
Yeah.
I noticed as well, that's a Kang issue. Are you a big fan of Kang as a villain?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I do kind of like him. I've never made up my mind whether I should view him as an FF villain or an Avengers villain.
You can be either. Both.
Either.
Yeah.
Maybe probably Avengers, because I associate him turning up kind of around that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 issue run of Avengers, and even later and stuff, the fantastic Avengers Forever.
Oh my God!
I want to call it a maxi series because it's like 12 issues, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Kirk Busiek
and Carlos Pacheco. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah,
that was one of those titles that I'd look forward to more than anything else every month. And even like it really pays off if you're a long-term fan. I'm not sure how it reads for a new reader, but it was good. Yeah, it was just so good. Really, it just really tidied things up, like time travel characters, man.
You could kind of do anything with it.
You pretty much can. You can put it in any order you like. This happened. This didn't happen. This was a different Kang.
But I was quite pleased with what I've seen of Kang so far in
the film versions. I haven't seen it yet. But
have you not?
No, I'm not really big into the films, but he looked the part for sure.
Yeah,
from what I saw,
probably best part of that movie.
Yeah, is he in a fair bit?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Maybe I'll cave for Kang, because I do love a bit of Kang. And like that issue in particular as well. Was it's such a random one as well, because I think that's when the Black Knight joins, isn't it? Officially, yes, is it?
Yeah, so you've kind of got it's proper nerding out now, aren't we, Dave? So 47 is the first Dane Whitman.
Yes.
And 48 is the first Black Knight.
And then
so you've got that kind of Black Knight on the flying
at the cover.
Aragon, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Strangely enough, that's an expensive book.
Oh no! Is that another one of them?
Yeah, that's one of the 13.
Am I just here to tease you for all the stuff that you can't get?
Apparently so.
I was sent from hell.
I accept blame for it, because it was my fault bringing that up in the first place.
Yeah, I'll take that. But yeah, no, that is a great cover.
Bullet dodged.
Exactly. It's a great cover. It's a great book. It's a really fun issue as well. But yeah, you got to love a fight scene on the front cover.
Well, yeah, and that kind of then led me to Invaders as a title on its own and stuff, and discovering Frank Robbins as an artist and drawing that. So that was great. And besides, it's Captain America as well. So as we'll discover, I'm a little bit of a Cap and a Superman nut. So
clearly this is all going to come out. So I mean, it may come out in the next one, because I was going to go for your holy grail or precious item you've tracked down.
Okay, so this is going to be a big one. So you're not going to see me anymore. You're going to hide behind this in the camera. So this is off my wall. This is an original page of Ivan Rice pencils from Superman.
Which issue is that? Is that from the Bendis run?
This is the recent one. So that's issue 5.
Oh God, those pages are beautiful.
I know.
Oh yeah, it's I can't remember his name.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. That new kind of villain. That
his
guy down
art is painfully good.
Yeah, I am somewhat obsessed.
I don't blame you though.
Hence it being Holy Grail stuff,
right?
And particularly happy as well to get it as a pencil page rather than, no offense to inkers. I think I want to say Joe Prado was inking these issues, and I love Joe. Joe's a lovely, lovely man. But to be able to get the pencil pages itself,
that's something else. Do you actually put it on the wall, or do you keep it in a locked room?
Oh no, it's
guarded.
So actually, it's off that wall there,
right?
Which is just above my drawing board.
So I mean, that's good inspiration.
Well, yeah, it either goes one way or the other.
Massively intimidating. Looking up and sighing. Oh,
yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do that on another day. So, God, I'm never going to do that. But there you go.
It's beautiful stuff. He is an incredible artist. I think, I don't think I've seen him fluff anything.
No, and I always find it really weird that one of the first, if not the first gig he ever did for DC was working on Invisibles.
Was it?
Yeah. Grant Morrison's Invisibles.
When? Which part?
Oh, it's real lighter stuff. I would tell you exactly what issue it is, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I had no idea. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up. I've got them over there.
I have got it somewhere. So I think it's post Chris Weston doing stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
I wondered if it was around, because when they switched to give it that more American feel, and they brought Phil Jimenez in,
possibly.
Wondered if it might be around then, or there's those jam issues as well, aren't there? Like when they
it's literally, I think, just one, maybe two issues.
Right.
But that's it. And he used to do stuff like Ghost as well. Like after Adam Hughes. Yeah, after Adam Hughes did it.
Oh my God.
Oh
wow.
Until he did some. I want to say did a random Superman story for Action first, or whatever, and somebody went, "Oh, this guy can draw superheroes."
Oh God,
but yeah, I'm a big fan, shall we say?
I take it you've read his Aquaman run as well.
Of course.
Yeah, it was just one of I couldn't believe I was reading Aquaman. That was one of the first Aquaman stories I read.
Yeah.
And it's just so incredible. Like it was.
Well, and I know you said you're not a huge fan of the movies and what have you, but if you watch that Jason Momoa first one, no spoilers here,
okay,
or whatever. Halfway through, the trench it's straight out of that run.
Oh, I didn't know that was in it.
Yeah, it's not the whole thing, but the trench.
Yeah,
and the trench creatures. Right in the middle of the movies, and they're straight out of that.
No. Oh man. Okay, I might have to cave because I didn't
like that's. I'd see I'm corrupting.
This is payback for those Avengers issues that I was listing.
Pretty much, it seems to be. But we were a friend of mine. We were discussing recently, trying to get some of Ivan's Detective Comics run that he's done recently.
I haven't read those. I'm really far behind.
They're ridiculously good art-wise.
Because he's not done a lot either, has he? For Marvel, he's done an Avengers issue, I think.
Yes, it was an Avengers annual.
Was that during the Kang Dynasty period?
No, it's around Kurt Busiek's stuff because triathlon's in it.
Right.
Yeah. But it's mainly Wasp and Hank Pym's / Goliath issue.
Oh, right. I know the one. Is it like when Yellow Jacket's coming out of him on the
cover?
Yeah, that's the one. Oh man, that's another good look. It was a really good look, and I remember thinking that was the first time I'd seen his art. Clearly, it wasn't because I'd read Invisibles, and thinking like this guy is going to be.
Yeah, I think I might stand corrected, but I think that's really the only Marvel stuff he's done.
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge amount. I think you're right.
Outside of like commissions and sketches and stuff like that.
Do you tend to have a preference in terms of the groups of characters that you draw when you get commission requests?
No, I just get really wide and varied requests. I like show sketches, doing stuff at cons. There'll always be a bunch of Dredd stuff. But literally anything. Well, let's put it this way. 12 months ago, I put my first art book out, which was just commissions and private sketches and stuff. And we managed to fill like 130 pages worth of just that.
Nice. It's a lovely book. And I'm kicking
bad.
myself for not picking it up when I saw you, because I was going like, oh, I should get the thing, but like, I don't know what.
Well, yeah. Well, no, we'll sort one of those there for you.
Oh, dude, it's all good. I'll no doubt see you again at a con, hopefully, but but yeah, I'm sure I'll pick one up from you at some point. But yeah, I did wonder if you know, because obviously people tend to request the stuff that they're, familiar with seeing you doing. But I mean, do you ever get that occasion where you're asked to draw a character and you're literally just going like, I don't even think what they look like, or
yeah, phones are marvelous.
They just
like
looking up Ivan Race on a...
Do you know,
just copy that.
It's a weird thing that I can't imagine not being at a con without a phone. Somebody walking up and saying, "Can you do?" And there will be random things like some robot stuff from some anime stuff that I'm completely unaware of or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much of a nerd that I at least know most of the time what people are talking about.
Right.
I will still look it up because I still want to get it right.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, there's only I was having a conversation not so long ago about, is there any characters I don't like drawing? And there isn't really. The only one I'd struggled with in recent years was if somebody wanted just a headshot of like the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn.
Right.
So Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Just because it's a woman with pigtails.
Yeah.
And there's kind of nothing to get your teeth into and stuff like that. I just...
Are they wanting her to look like her? Like look like her as an actor instead of... Yeah,
I really struggle with that at cons because it's... Likenesses aren't my forte, shall we say.
Okay.
So it's something I need to spend time with and have a whole bunch of reference around me to kind of get right and stuff. So if somebody would come and see you at a con and say, "Can you draw my nephew Billy?" And I'm just like, I'm slowly melting inside.
Oh no! I was going to ask you that if you've actually had a point where you've not necessarily said no, but I mean, well, maybe you have.
Well, not a no as such. Well, the only time I say no to anybody is they come and say, "Have you got time for a sketch?" And I'll go, "Look, this is the list I've got to do. And I've got like 7 people waiting, so sorry, I can't." Or if it's something like a likeness thing, I don't often say no. I'll say, "Well, look, if you let me take it home, and I'll do it at home, and I'll mail it out to you.
Yeah.
Then I'm fine. I'll happily do that."
That's cool.
You know,
that's cool.
People are spending hard-earned cash and whatever, and taking the time to come and see you. So
it's nice. It's nice to be able to experience that. So, like as I was saying to you when I saw you, I've only been to 2 cons, and that was the second my whole life. So it's nice just to put names to faces and vice versa, and just get to chat to to people.
Yeah, because I think most of us are nerds and geeks on both sides of the table. Yeah. So you can't see the 1,000,001 long boxes that are surrounding me. You can kind of see the statues and stuff over my shoulder. But yeah, it's kind of full of stuff around here.
I don't think comics are a job, though. I mean, my assumption anyway is that you really get into without being a fan
No,
in the first
I don't
place.
think so.
I think when people do, it shows.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't have that interest in it, I mean, especially with writing, I find as well, when they bring writers in who don't really get comics. But I mean, artists are probably more of I can't imagine many artists coming in and going like, "Oh, I'm just going to give comics." I suppose it does happen.
I suppose I kind of did that a little bit myself in a way. I mean, I started off straight out of school doing a graphic artist apprenticeship,
right?
And did that for like almost 10 years and stuff before I went, no, I can't do this anymore. And what can I do that I actually like?
Yeah.
Well, I like comics. Okay, let's give this a go. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what.
But,
sorry, go on.
What I was going to say, what I think you do see, you know, you were saying how you might not necessarily get people so much that aren't into comics trying to get into it.
Yeah.
Those that you do notice are the ones that come and they just want to do single spot illustrations.
Uh-huh.
And the idea of telling a story in sequential panels either doesn't occur or terrifies them. And it should be the latter. Yeah.
It's one of those skills that I think people don't realize just how it is a skill. And it also, like, it's something that you do work on and build on over time, obviously, like absolutely. Anything else. But I mean, in terms of telling a story, you know when you've got an artist that you're reading a comic who just can't master that side of it, and it feels kind of janky and awkward, and the flow's not there.
You're sitting there reading it, and it's hard work, isn't it?
It's like watching a badly edited film.
Yeah.
So I mean, having that flow, you shouldn't notice it. If you're noticing it, something's gone wrong. It's like a film sound, again, film reference, but like it's like film soundtracks as well. If you're noticing that music, it's the wrong music.
Yeah.
So it's a funny one, but I think people do underestimate it, and I think people, especially people that aren't into comics, assume that it's just a very straightforward thing. There's a picture, there's a picture, there's a picture. How hard can it be?
Just on the basic side of things, when you meet people for the first time, somebody you've never met before, and you inevitably get around to that conversation about, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
I draw comics, Larry. And the face just goes,
does it?
That's a job.
Does it really? Even now?
Really? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Is that perhaps like you get that kind of, I don't know whether it's a generational thing or whatever, they associate comics with just being films.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that the films came from the comics.
Uh-huh.
And we won't get started on that. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours.
We will.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. And kind of you see a very broad fan base of different stuff when you're doing cons and stuff.
Yeah.
As you probably noticed yourself in Bristol, there's a very wide spectrum that isn't just comics.
Yeah, comics are in the title for these things. Everyone says Comic-Con, but comics are probably less than 50% of the draw.
Unfortunately, unless there are what I like to call proper Comic Cons. There are ones about.
There are.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to one, and it was MCM London, and it was still. I went to Artist Alley, and no one was there. I mean, like the creators were there, but there was no one meeting anyone. So it was not what I expected. I thought I'd be pushing past people.
It's a different thing. I'm just trying to think of like cons to suggest as perhaps a gateway show that's has flavors of that MCM sort of show, but then has a large chunk of comics and creators and that side of things. London Film and Comic Con,
right?
Which is July the 7th to the 9th, I think it is this year.
Do you know?
I shouldn't.
I've got a feeling we're going
because I'm going to be there.
I think we're going to be there.
At Olympia.
I think so. I need to double check. This is all my PA deals with.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask.
Don't. Don't.
No, you should. You'll enjoy that. I mean, it's a nice venue, and if people know the venue at all, the hall floors at the bottom will have all the traders and stuff, and all your photo opportunities and whatever are over one side of things. But the large balcony that goes over and at the top of the buildings, that's all comic artists.
Ah.
So we've got stuff like I mentioned, Torrin Grumbeck.
Yes.
She's over again this summer, and Dan Slott's over. And they just announced a few other guests today. Stuff like John McRae's coming. Ian Richardson, he's going to be there. Fly-by-night chancer. So they always have a nice selection of guests, and I'm sure there's more to be added to it.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. I'm really looking forward to it because, like, that's the bit for me. It's like I'm there for the comics. I'm there for comics, man, and I'm just so hyped. And it's funny then when you see people at Comic Con, we're literally going, "Hi, did you read comics?" And they're going, "What?" Like, where? No, okay.
Those floppy things.
You heard of them?
But I highly recommend people checking out Nice, NICE.
Oh, okay.
In Bedford as well, because that is purely comics,
right?
And it has a lot of international comic creators over as well.
Okay.
It's if you like your comics, it's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, gonna give that one a look. Thank you.
You should. You should.
Oh well.
I know. See, you're glad I came now, aren't you?
Oh yeah. So, back to the old list.
What have we got?
My next one I'd like you to share is your favourite purchase.
Now, see this. I'm going to disappear behind something. So this, I think I mentioned to you before, this was a toss-up between this and the Ivan Rice.
Uh-huh.
So for this subject and for the same subject that we used the Ivan Rice for.
Yeah.
So this is next to my Ivan Rice on the wall.
Oh, you're going to make me envious again. Oh.
So this is a page from a Superman's Real World. So it's an artist called Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Uh-huh.
He's the comic artist's comic artist.
And he's the Superman's artist as well.
Oh,
I mean, isn't he like the definitive for both the two biggest characters from DC?
Kind of a lot. Well,
for many.
There was a time in the 80s that DC, it was probably late 70s, early 80s, DC put together what they called a style guide.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So anybody who was working on DC stuff had access to the style guide, and you would have kind of front view, side view, and whatever. So everybody in the DC universe was drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Right.
And there's actually a Facebook page with scans of every single page.
I must have seen that page.
And if you've bought any DC merchandise in the last 20 or 30 years with a Superman on or a Batman or a Wonder Woman, it's probably been drawn by Garcia Lopez.
Yeah. Wasn't there a story about
Mobius?
Mobius, yes.
Yeah. It's true.
Is it actually true?
It's not a story, it's true. Yeah.
So
that's kind of it's a double thing for me. So
that is incredible.
It's a Garcia Lopez page.
Yeah.
And it's a Superman page. So
that's beautiful. How long have you had that?
Not long, actually.
Really?
Probably this one, probably a couple of years now.
What's issue is it from?
So it's from a Superman annual. They did a bunch of DC stuff. You know how they themed the annuals for a year.
Yeah.
So they had a theme the one year that was called Real Worlds. So it was essentially a real world version of all the main characters and whatever. And it's like Superman's a businessman and what have you, and so on and so forth. So of course I own the issue as well, but
of course.
But yes, that's pride possession.
I'm not surprised.
It's kind of like, and I won't say how much, but a ridiculously cheap price for what it is.
Yeah.
Given, I think, if you look at, say, some DC Comics Presents pages or whatever, some of the Superman stuff he did in the late 70s, early 80s, and whatever, they're like a couple of thousands for a page of original art and what have you. So, I didn't pay that much.
Wasn't going to ask, but I mean, the things we were talking as well before about your interest in buying pages. Because how long have you been actually getting hold of original art?
I actually only have 4 pages just because they're so expensive now. So the 2 you've seen here, and I have a John Byrne She-Hulk page.
Nice.
So yeah, I will tell you how much that one and the next one cost me, because compared to how much they cost these days, it's ridiculous. So I bought them both at the same time. I bought a John Byrne She-Hulk page, and in the 90s, Neil Adams at his Continuity Studio had their own line of books.
Right.
Continuity Studios.
Yeah.
And there's one for a character called Cyber-Rad. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a Neil Adams penciled and inked page from Cyber-Rad. And I bought those in San Diego from people who buy original art will know. So I bought it from Albert Moy's stand, and they were $110 each.
No way.
Yeah.
God, I wonder what that, especially the Byrne page, I would assume would that be?
Well, I'll give you 2 gross examples now. So I don't know if you know. So John Byrne was supposed to be probably a couple of years back now. He was supposed to be doing the new X-Men book. So it was set straight after his and Chris Claremont run finished.
Right.
So post sort of 141 or what have you. All the characters set there. And John Byrne.
Sorry, no more.
He'd fell out with the editors and what have you.
John Byrne did?
I know. And it didn't get published, but he still drew it. And he might even be still drawing it. So if you go to John Byrne's website and his forum, he's penciling the whole thing. He's lettering the whole thing so you can go and read it. And these are unpublished pages, but these pages sell for $2,000 each, pencil pages. And the other gross example is a buddy of mine had a Byrne Fantastic Four page, and he sold it a few years back and re-roofed his house with the money.
Wow.
I know.
Oh, that is crazy. Man, it's one of those things I think, like, if I had a Byrne page, I don't think I could. I know. The thing is, I've sold stuff in the past where I've gone like, why did you just do that? For whatever reason. But, like, parting with a Byrne page.
I think the roof needed doing.
Fair enough. That one page isn't going to cover
it. He's virtually a hometown boy of mine as well.
Oh, really?
John Byrne. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's born in West Brom, so that's like 10 minutes up the road from me.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he was born in West Bromwich, and left when he was 7, I think, to go and live in Canada.
Oh, God, I didn't know. I thought Chris Claremont did that. I don't know if I switched them around in my memory.
Maybe. No, definitely burn.
Oh, I had absolutely no idea he did that. How funny! Wow.
Yeah, there's a proper little a little circle around here. So Mike Collins have kind of like current Doctor Who fame, or so many books over the years and whatever. Like people know from first appearance of Gambit and things like that.
Yeah.
Mike's another West Bromwich guy, 10 minutes up the road from me. I can get to Mark Farmer, Inca of Alan Davis fame. I can get to Mark in 5 minutes. I should be seeing Mark in about a week's time.
Oh, right.
That's
so bizarre.
John McRae is 5 minutes down the road the other way.
No way.
Hunt Emerson's about 10-15 minutes from me.
What?
Phil Winslade's just the other side of Birmingham.
I didn't know that either.
Ian Edgington is about 15 minutes from me as well.
Because it's the centre of a lot of music that's come from there as well. Because you play, don't you, as well? You play guitar, right?
Occasionally.
Right.
It has been known. Not so much these days, just because people shout at me if I don't do work.
I've seen pictures of you playing, but I wasn't sure what you actually, what kind of music it was.
Look, I'm a tattooed guitar player. You know,
so K-pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, with the occasional bit of country and western. No, I'm a bit of a rock and roll boy, so yeah, I do like my rock music.
Fair enough. That's the thing. A lot of my big heroes have come from that kind of direction as well. From I was massively into Pop Will Eat Itself and and the Wonder Stuff and bands like that in my youth.
Well,
before it got heavier. But yeah, and that was it's like that was the centre of the universe. Clearly, all art is coming from the Midlands.
Apparently so. And well, you know, from rock side of things, you've only got to look at the likes of Sabbath and Judas Priest and Led Zeppelin and you know, Ozzy from Sabbath and so on and so forth. I could bore you silly with tales of how my uncle used to lend Bill Ward from Black Sabbath his drum kit and stuff like that. Yeah.
We'll have to do that as a separate...
Yes, a side
a special episode.
I know.
Oh, man.
Look, you're lucky I'm in the studio and guitars are in another room and stuff. So, yeah.
Otherwise you'd be blowing me away on that as well. And I'd be envious about something else completely.
That's just showing off.
Speaking of showing off, are you ready to show off a complete set?
Well, I'm not going to show you off a complete set, but I'm going to show you one issue from the complete set.
Okay, I'll take that.
Just because the complete set is like over 300 issues long.
What could that be? You did promise we'd get to Cat.
Yeah. So I managed to, probably about 9 months ago now, by the last issue of all of his Volume 1 run.
Which was it? What were you short of?
It was just the very first one that I bought.
Right.
So that's issue 101. Because he came straight after Tales of Suspense that he was sharing with Iron Man.
That's right.
Like I say, sharing with Iron Man like he's a real thing.
It's real to us, Ian. It's real to us.
Exactly, Dave. But yeah, it was just the last couple of issues, which were the expensive ones as such, which was 101, and then this.
Which issue is that?
Pesca. It's 117, so that's the first Falcon.
Mm-hmm. I think there's another very random first appearance in that issue in there. Isn't there another another character? I think that's like.
Maybe
you can MODOK story. Maybe it's because it's a MODOK story. Because I was eyeballing the story because I'm a big MODOK fan. Oh,
and I've told you to watch Quantum Mania as well.
That is the thing that is admittedly holding me back a little.
Okay, I can understand that. But yeah, that's a big deal to me. So that's kind of like starts at issue 101 and finishes about
454 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then there's like over a dozen annuals as well.
Yeah.
So I managed to pick all of those up.
Nice. Do you have a particular favourite era?
There's a couple of things which were actually kind of older stuff as well, actually. Really fond of those Steranko issues. So it's only, maybe I want to say like about 4 issues long. So you kind of around that 109, 110, 111 kind of era. But it's like psychedelic Shield stuff as well. And I'm really fond of that. And then sort of moving into 130s, John Romita Sr. did a run for a while, and I really, really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that.
I don't think I've read that.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I read it first when we were getting the stories in those black and white reprints.
Yeah.
And then to kind of go back and buy issues. It's Cap all over the place on a motorcycle. And Cap when he was a New York police officer.
Yeah, that was a bit of a random turn of events, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So for a little while, didn't he have... So he was a New York cop.
Yeah,
and then they eventually made him an artist
as well.
Yeah. And then, because I mean, my favourite of that entire Cap run is kind of the first chunk of the Grunwald issues. I loved that whole...
Before, so the kind of around the captain thing and the nomad stuff.
Yeah.
Before it got a little bit silly and they did Cap Wolf.
Oh, yeah. You had to bring that up.
Well, you know, look, I like Cap. But I have to be honest about these things as well.
Wow. That is a fair chunk that was quite... Maybe not the best Grunwald issue.
Yeah, but then you kind of look at, say, posts, that stuff, when it was, say, the first we really saw of Ron Garney.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Mark Waid Ron Garney run was something else. Funnily enough, it came up on the regular podcast. That came up on it. It comes up quite a lot because like that run is just so cool. It's just so unbelievably cool, and it's such a shame that they stopped there and broke that run because even when they came back, it was still good.
Yeah,
but it wasn't quite as good.
It wasn't the same. No, not quite.
Do you go past there? Is that your cutoff?
That's the completest stuff I've got.
Okay.
But then I've bought other stuff. Like I've been buying Cap quite regularly up until recently. So like even some of the Steve McNiven stuff. What else was there? Alan Davis had a little run for a few issues as well.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh,
which I think was just post the Steve McNiven drawn stuff. Then there was the Bruce Baker and like Jackson Guice.
I don't know if it's Guice
or
we guess everything here. We've only read everyone's names, right?
Yeah, with the Winter Soldier stuff and whatever. Yeah, but sort of as a character, and then I mean that stemmed out of me buying Avengers. Or getting the Avengers books.
Because that's the thing. Well, it's funny, I think, when I've talked to people that don't read comics, which is mostly everyone, and when they made the first Captain America film, someone said to me, so I see they're releasing a Captain America film. I'm like, what? And they go, it's Captain America. It's all Go America, isn't it? I'm like, no, that isn't what Captain America's about at all. So people get that so right. They're the same with Superman. It's like the American dream. Well, it sort of is and it isn't. It's the ideal.
Isn't it funny? Somebody remarked to me that 2 of my favourite characters, being Cap and Superman, are actually very similar in a way. You know, it's kind of that ideal and it's like that speech that he made that actually made it into Civil War.
Yeah.
the kind of, when everybody else is telling you you're wrong, it's up to you to plant your feet and go no. There's just that kind of, I find that very appealing in a character, and that's the kind of, you get a lot of that in Superman as well.
You do. Is that, you think that is the draw predominantly?
Maybe. And I suppose in a way, I kind of find that afterwards, and I got introduced to both characters by artists I liked very much as well.
Yeah.
So that was going to be another one, for instance. Like, it came a very close second to that Avengers cover as one of my favourites was that Superman Spider-Man crossover.
That is a fantastic cover.
Yeah, which is just in that cupboard behind me. And just to refer back to another part of our conversation, there's the double page spread in that where Superman's flying up and he sees Spider-Man for the first time. John Byrne owns that.
Does he?
Yeah, that's framed on his wall.
God.
There's if you do a YouTube search, for Sci-Fi Wire.
Yes.
They did an interview with him in his
like a little
studio.
series.
Yeah. So it's over a couple of episodes, and he's walking around his studio, and he's got all this like Neil Adams and Jack Kirby artwork, and he's got that double page spread on his wall.
I watched one of them. I mustn't have seen the one then with that in.
Yeah.
I need to have a look because that is nuts.
I know. There you go, a little throwaway line from that interview, which really caught me off guard. Because, look, we've talked about Byrne, and you get that reaction. And like I said to you about him falling out with somebody, and you go, oh, really? What a surprise. But he had a little interesting line, which made me stop and go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So they're looking around stuff on his wall, and all this stuff's around, and he's got this original Neil Adams Batman page.
Yeah.
And the guy who's interviewing you said, it's really weird over all the years you've been working, given both of you have got like an X-Men history, for instance, you and Neil have never worked together. And why do you think that is? And Byrne said, because I'm not good enough.
What? Wow, that is a shocker.
Isn't it?
I need to watch that. I want to hear him just say it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's just ashamed that he thinks
he's the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he seems like quite a genuinely nice guy.
He's an interesting character. Just as it's funny because a lot of those stories about him walking out, they are available on Byrne Robotics on the website. It's like the full list of this is why I left this is why I left this, and it is quite a list of walkouts, basically, isn't it? But some of it you're going, oh, I just assumed.
Well, yeah. There's a bit of a pattern here.
Yeah.
And the pattern's John Byrne.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, it's an interesting guy. But I can't say no. I can't say no to Byrne.
No, not at all.
I've read most of what he's done that I've been able to get hold of, at least.
I think so.
But there is something about that guy's art.
Yeah, I mean, Next Men. I thoroughly enjoyed Next Men.
I've never read Next Men. I've never been able to get hold of it.
Really?
Yeah. Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's adult X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Right.
And issue 21's the first appearance of Hellboy.
Oh, is that in story or is like a backup?
In story.
Is it?
I think. So I might be wrong. But I'm sure it is. I paid enough for it.
Because that's the thing. I knew that it was in Next Men, and of course, and I knew that Byrne wrote the first or co-wrote the first Hellboy mini. He's on
the cover as well. So
what Byrne? Oh, Hellboy's on the cover. That's right. So I only ever remember seeing that cover in Wizard, and I've looked up collector's editions. It's one of those things that were like, now it's really easy to keep tabs on books you're really interested in, and you'll get alerted. But it's one of those ones that every time I've looked for that Next Men stuff, it's like, oh, they released it 2 years ago again. Oh, and it's going for 200 quid a book.
Do you know what? I've never seen a collected issue.
There have been some, yeah.
I've got all the single issues.
Need them, do you?
No, don't worry. You know what? Never. You would think you would kind of come across it, along the way.
Yeah.
The minute you're searching for various John Byrne stuff, but
especially you might get a nice new cover or something.
Oh, you never know. You never know. It's a shame he's not working on something, but I mean, like I say, go to Byrne Robotics and read all those.
Who knows?
Penciled X-Men pages.
We might get those X-Men pages in print one day. No.
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, speaking of books that look really good, do you like my segue? Let's have a look at your last choice, which is a good-looking book.
See, this is maybe a little bit of a swerve and stuff.
Oh, I like a
and
swerve.
I recommend loads of people. I recommend this to.
Yeah,
and they've never heard of it. Called Seven to Eternity.
I have heard of it,
and it's gorgeous to look at.
It is a beautiful series.
Jerome Opena, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
We're doing really well with these names tonight,
I think
aren't
it's
we?
a Pena. I think
yeah.
I think, but I'm not 100%.
That's what I said.
It's totally what you said. I'll dub it afterwards.
Yeah. Cool.
Pena.
Yeah, I
Put an accent on with a flourish.
Yeah, I like your work. I like your work. And what do we? I think that's last issue or something. I think that is 15.
Yeah,
but
I think it
it's
was about
just
15.
Beautiful to look at.
Did you like the story?
I did actually. I did. Not as much as I enjoyed the art more than I enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I was much the same.
And I think it's probably a big thing for me. It tends to affect the way I look at a book. And it's not a great way of looking at it, but if I'm not invested in the artwork, I find the story difficult.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
There's only a few things over the years. I don't even need all the fingers on one hand where I've gone, I'm buying this because I'm for the story, rather than the art being a primary concern. But people ask me to kind of describe what it's about, and I get Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars.
I get that's probably not far off. It's another
it's
quite a heavy
kind of come to
story, isn't it, as well? Because Rick Remender's stuff tends to be quite a little dour, to say the least.
Yes.
But if you can take it, it is a beautiful work. The thing is, James Harren does 2 issues as well, doesn't he? I love James Harren. I don't know if you've read Rumble.
No, I haven't. It was kind of one of my introductions to his work with those couple of issues, actually.
Right. I don't think they do him justice in this. And because
Probably
it's
not.
such a vastly different style,
yes,
it's a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
But if you do, I mean, his stuff is always so much better. And if you look at Rumble, that's a brilliant place to have a look at his stuff. Okay. It's by John Arcudi. The first series is John Arcudi and James Harren. The second series, David Rubin takes over as artist. And I really like his stuff. It's very unusual style, quite different to James Harren, but both fantastic. And it's a really fun book. Basically, 2 gods getting a fight outside of a bar, and then it kind of goes from there. It's great.
As you do.
It's brilliant. I loved it.
I'm going to have to check that.
Yeah, give it a look. It's a really stupidly fun book. But Seven to Eternity, I thought was one of the most stunning books I've ever seen. I struggle with that Remender story. Sometimes he really nails it for me, and sometimes it just doesn't. And I think it's down to the individual. So it's a hard book to recommend. Normally, whatever it is you're choosing from him, apart from possibly Deadly Class and Uncanny X-Force, are fairly universal in terms of their popularity.
Yeah, I mean, he had an Avengers run with Kieran Dwyer for a while as well.
Yes, Uncanny Avengers, I think that was. Yeah, you're right. That's true. Oh, and his cap. He did cap for a bit as well. I almost forgot about that. I think some people were a bit put out by it, and some
Well,
weren't.
yeah, and also forget like Jerome.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to stick to the first name. He had a run on Avengers for a while as well.
Was that
was
the Jonathan Hickman era?
Yeah, quite possibly. I won't hold my hand up and swear to it, but it's Cosmic Avenger stuff, and what have you.
He is an artist to keep an eye out for.
Oh God, yeah, it's like
it's intimidating.
Yeah, I really do enjoy high detail art, and there's probably a bunch of detail in my own stuff, but not as much as I'd like to put in if I didn't have to think about things like deadlines and stuff like that. But the other thing that kind of appeals to that is, like, when people ask me about it, I say, well, look, the collector's stuff is 2 volumes and that's it.
Yeah, well, they've released an absolutely beautiful collector's edition in hardcover, which is beef. It's pure beef, and it is it's a beautiful book. Like, it's undeniably like gorgeous.
A finite thing for people to kind of invest in,
yes,
if you like.
Yeah,
which I know does turn a few people off.
Well,
the prospect of jumping in the deep end and then you're here for however many years.
It's got to be done. It's a lifestyle.
I know.
It's a lifestyle, man. It's not. It's not a hobby. People always get it wrong.
Which, who needs to eat and sleep?
You can eat paper.
I know. It's overrated.
Yeah, totally. Actually, think one question actually about art styles, especially as an artist yourself and keeping track of artists and being a fan of comics. Have you found that your taste in other people's art has changed over the years? Like, in terms of the kind of artists you like at the moment, are they pretty much the same kind of things that drew you to artists?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, yeah. I'm the mainstream dramatic superhero guy. That's me. That was kind of what really pulled me in the first place to buying comics, and it's probably the bulk of my buying tastes still. So for that mainstream superhero guy, I'm doing a steampunk book and 2 westerns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've still got those mainstream tastes, the Ivan Rice, the Garcia Lopez, the Alan Davis, the John Buscema stuff.
Yeah.
I probably, ironically, out the Western stuff, that's expanded my repertoire a little just recently. It's kind of appreciating it's kind of a lot more European artists and whatever. Because the European comics are still mad for Western stories.
Are they even now?
They've got that kind of the history of Blueberry and stuff like that and whatever over the years. But it's still really, really popular.
How funny.
And that's, see, I'm not going to name any names because I can't think of any off the top of my head. But that's kind of expanded to appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of, at this age and this experience, I can appreciate the work and the talent that's gone into it a little bit more than I could when I was 8.
Yes.
You know, and it's just muscles, explosions. Yeah,
that looks good.
Yeah,
I like it.
But I've still got that main core and that really floats my boat. It's strange, I find, something that perhaps does disappoint me a little, that unfortunately there's not so many of the guys that I'd liked when I was a kid still around.
Yeah.
But some of those that are the their abilities don't quite hit the mark as much as they used to.
Uh-huh.
There are exceptions, like Garcia Lopez can still knock it out of the park, and Alan Davis as well is still as good as he ever was, I think.
Yeah, I told you, didn't I, the one time I've really sat and watched an artist, before, first time in my life I've sat and watched a comic artist, was Alan Davis, and his lines were just, that smoothness of his lines. He doesn't sketch that. Like, I sketch. I have to work to get that look. And he was just going, and there's her leg. And there's this. Like, how are you doing
this? Makes you sick. Probably, it's strange because it's probably to my detriment, is I never really sat and sketched. It's always been with an end goal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always going to finish the drawing, or I'm always working on a page, or I'm always working on a cover. I suppose it's a little bit sad in a way, and I don't sketch for enjoyment anymore.
That's what I was going to ask, actually, because it is essentially a job. It's work. It's I suppose you don't, between drawing for comics, you're not going to want to draw for a bit. But then
I think I'm genuinely an exception rather than the rule. Because I still see so many people still sketching. We've done cons and stuff.
Yeah.
It happens a lot with European artists, actually. I've done cons a lot where with them finish and we'll go out for dinner or something or whatever, and out for a drink and stuff. And I've spent the day at a con. I've spent the whole day doing stuff around comics.
Yeah.
And then they're sat in the bar drawing. I'm like, what are you doing? Maybe I'm a grumpy old man, but
No.
It's just like, really? Like, it's con day 2 tomorrow. Guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to be drawing.
Is that dedication or obsession? Which is it?
Yeah.
A little of both, maybe.
Maybe in a strange way, because for me personally, I have another creative outlet.
Yeah, that's true.
From a music point of view.
Yeah.
Then that kind of takes away that need to kind of be doing something else all the time or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And also, I'd just like to sit down and watch a movie and eat some chocolate.
It's the English way.
Yes.
We like to sit on our bums and watch a film.
I have to have some vices. I don't drink. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, those people are in the bar and they can still draw. How hard it is to draw when you've had a few drinks. That looks good, I think. We'll see if it looks good in the morning.
Maybe this is where I'm going wrong.
Maybe it is.
Need to be alcoholically fueled.
I don't think it's necessarily good for that kind of creativity, but I think you're doing perfectly well as you are, thanks.
I don't know. Could open up a whole new avenue.
Maybe. There's a style you didn't know you had.
Yeah. It's called Splurge.
Well, maybe you can do some splurge on another Western title in the future. That sounds wrong as well.
See, I was just going to gloss over that part.
That sounds wrong as well. So, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk through some of the items in your collection. I'm not saying this because you're on, I'm desperately looking out for those books now, because your style is, I'm super impressed with, like, because for me, like, you're talking about those other artists and like the Alan Davis and the Brian Hitch of this world, and I put you in that bracket.
This is not even out in print yet. Let's show you.
Oh, a sneaky preview.
I know.
Dude, seriously, I'm not surprised it takes you a day and a half. That is gorgeous.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Are you kidding me? That is amazing. So, if you've missed the names of the books that are coming up, feel free to give us a quick reminder.
Yeah, I'd particularly get people to check out First Men on Mars more than anything else. Figments is done dusted. It's at the printer and stuff, so it will be in my hands for people to get that soon. But First Men on Mars is the thing to check out more than anything else.
Okay.
So it's going live on Kickstarter on April the 18th.
Nice. And who are you working with on that?
So many people. So it's a publisher called Ian Press, and it's a story that's written by Paul Matthews. Excellent story. But it's got art from myself, Gary Erskine, Lee Carter, Paul McCaffrey, covers one, Stas Johnson. I'm doing extra covers as well. Gary's on covers. So it's like if you like your 2000 AD stuff, if you like your British comics, there's a whole bunch of names that you're going to go on there. I'm sure I've missed some people out. So colours from people like Yelson Moore and John Paul Bove, and I had to use the word veteran, but if you know your British comics, you'll know Annie Parkhouse.
Yes.
From lettering just about everything. So Annie's lettering the whole story, and it's like 40 odd pages long for the first issue.
Right.
And for people who like that sort of thing, and as we're talking about art, there's rewards on the Kickstarter that people can back tiers to actually own some of the original pages as well. So put that little bit of temptation under people's noses.
Well, it's right under mine as well. So definitely jump on that. Head to the Kickstarter. We'll put links to it in the bonus stuff we put with the video and the podcast when we launch. So yeah, we'll gladly help push that for you, Ian. It sounds fantastic. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Me too. Just got to draw it now.
Oh yeah, no pressure. Well, look, thanks again for coming on. Details. Thanks again for coming on, Ian. And who knows, might get to speak to you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, Dave. It's been good fun.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for watching another Omniverse Comics Guide episode. We'll be back with more constantly. Right, we'll see you all soon. Thank you.